Hello, this is Gene. I'm going to do my weekly episodic series of the Cucks of the Week, and unfortunately, there are a lot of them this week, and a lot of it just basically stems from what happened in Charlottesville and the response from pretty much everywhere to it. Um, so when I thought about it, I said, should I talk about one specific person? Because like I said, there are several people that I could talk about, from Joseph Watson to John McCain to anybody that's in CNN, anybody on Fox News. But I want to talk about conservatives, what I call the good conservatives. And let me try to explain what that means. When I first started doing videos, at first I was just doing videos for like sports. I was doing stuff for like Manchester United, just to get involved. And this was after I had my stroke, and one of the things the doctor said, to be able to get my speech better, that I should speech as much or talk as much as I could. And back then I couldn't say more than a couple of words. And today I can't still do like I did before. I was a very good speaker. I used to do very well at speech competitions and stuff when I was younger. But I can't really do that anymore. And maybe in the future I'll talk about how that is, how aphasia affects people that had a stroke or has some traumatic brain injury like I had. But I started talking about it, and then I started getting into being anti-feminism and all that stuff. And I started realizing that there was a time in my life that I was raised to be the good man. And what I mean by that is, clearly I was better than every other man. I was taught from a young age that most men can't really control their emotions, their behavior, that we're just basically animals that have just been basically domesticated by the females in our lives. So I was raised this way, not overall arching, but there was a current that went through my family that I had to make sure that women are taken care of, that I have to make sure that you never do anything bad to a woman, never touch a woman, all that type of thing. And it was more than that. I was more than probably the normal thing that was going in my house. My mom basically led the house. She was a product of second wave feminism, and although she never became to be like the third wave of feminism, she didn't never talk about toxic masculinity, but she kind of did that by the way she brought me up. I love her and all that, but that's just how it was. So I had this image in my mind that, of course, I would never be that man. It's the other man that's doing stuff like that. The guy that maybe is accused of raping somebody. That women never would lie about that. That it never ever happens. So this is a thing that I had my entire life. And when I actually started going through that rabbit hole that I talked about before, at the very top of it is anti-feminism and some of the other things, and you realize that most men are not like that. The vast majority of men are not like that. You realize that your worldview is tainted. But it also runs over to the political side as well, because that same type of programming that we have is that certain things will shut us down. And even though people are very smart, they know probably what's going on in life, in the world, they're not willing to go to that next level to really understand it. And actually last night, Tucker Carlson talked about it. Now, I don't believe everything Tucker Carlson believes, per se. I mean, I think he's a rational dude, but he looks at the alt-right as basically racist people. So, but he talked about an old boss that he had before, Bill Kristol, and he had talked about the monuments being taken down, and Tucker made the salient point that the president said that once you start there, who's next? And Kristol basically saying that Tucker was rationalizing slavery, and then later on he said things about anti-Semitic stuff, and Tucker made up basically the same argument that I've done for years now about the good man, because he said those who who are smart people that used to have to write stuff out and have actually had conversations with people before their own had to do the little thing in the magazine, that they actually had to research stuff, that now they have Twitter and they can virtual signal right away. They can say, I don't like it, I'm offended, and I'm going to be better and tell everybody that I'm better by saying this. They're saying, oh, I'm against slavery, and I'm against women getting hit, or I'm against anything like that. And Twitter and social media allows you to do that right away. Now, the president does it all the time as well, and some of the things that he says online I don't necessarily agree with. And until a couple days ago, I thought he was being very cucky when it came to Charlottesville, but he actually came out the other day and he basically said the same thing. I mean, once you start going down this path to take away our history, who's next? I mean, should it be Martin Luther King? He probably should go because he didn't like gay people. I mean, how far are we going to go with this? And the problem is that it's in the entire media is buying this narrative, and all you people that actually think that Fox News is some sort of a conservative brand of media, you're wrong. Still, even today, about 95% of all people who do journalist type degrees, people are in media. They give to Democrats. They are mostly liberal at heart. Some people might actually be more centrist or a little bit to just past the middle of the road, more constitutional conservatism. But at the end of the day, they still want to be the good man, and that led me to like what I did with Steven Crowder and Andrew Wilkow. Same type of issues here. You can call some of these people the alt-right if you want to, or consider to say conservatives. When they know the facts are in their face, they still have to demonize a side that's basically saying, hey, these are the issues that we want to talk about. And I said in my video that they're the ones that are the problem, because these are the type of people that actually are the conduit to a lot of people that goes from there all the way to the alt-right. Now, it could be 1 million people that go there, and maybe 5,000 ends up going down to the alt-right. I mean, people know in the alt-right that it's not a huge group, but over time I think it will be. And you just can't sit there and poke the man all the time. So when I talk about the good conservative, or the good conservative myth, as a good, or the good man myth, saying that all the other men, they're bad, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm the good man. This is something the liberals have been saying forever. I mean, this is how they are. They say that no, I'm not that. I'm not with them. No. They're all racist. They're all Nazis. They're all something else. They look at people as the other. So when we talk about when we talk about the alt-right, if you actually want to go along with that label, some people say identitarian. I can't say the word very well. Personally, I continually say stuff like I'm with the alt-right, and then the next video I say I'm not really the alt-right. I don't know how to really label what I believe. In my last video I said what I think the 4 or 5 tenets of whatever movement there should be. I think most people on the alt-right think that way. The people I watch somewhat believe that way. Some of them will not disavow our 1488 guys, the neo-Nazis. I do. I think that it's not helpful what they do. The imagery is not good. Yeah, we probably should get over that because the message is more important. Some people will not go that far. I don't want anything to do with them. But it's this thing that even people that are conservative, or people you think that, hey, they're on our side for the most part, and then you find that really are. And the reason why that they're not, it's not. I don't want to say that their character has been impugned, let's say. But I think in a lot of ways it's just that they can't, because from a financial standpoint they can't do it. And I said this about Crowder and also Wilkow. They won't do it. They might show something a little later how they kind of come back to the front of it, but they won't do it. And so when I was talking about who should I talk about, there are so many of them that I could. And they're not really liberals anymore. These are people who are conservatives that just look at it and they say, oh, we're all part of this group that's all racist, because we talk about race. and I guess that kind of like differentiates me from some other people that might actually believe some of the same things that I talk about when I talk about immigration and abortion, let's say, or our family traditions. When I put race in there, or I talk about the differences between races, we don't have the moral courage to talk about it in this country. And then, but it's all related. And as much as you try to explain your point of view, it's like, I'm not going to say it's the same as looking at a Nazi flag, although it's probably at the same level. If I sit there and say, hey, oh, when you look at it from a group standpoint, Asians have the highest IQ, some of them, and then next it's usually white people, and below that is Africans. And people just like, oh, wait a second, we're all born equal. People don't understand what equal is. The president, there's a video out there that it's kind of funny. I think Salon put it out, or the Huffington Post, and I'll try to find it below. And it talked about he believes in genetics, and some people are. He says that people are not born equal, and I think that this is really common sense. People are not born equal. All you try to do in the Western civilization is that we have equality underneath the law. So when you go and face your jury, that you should have the same rights as anybody else. But this idea that everybody's equal, and then all you have these corporations that say, oh no, we're going to look at diversity and make sure that everybody is involved, and they force things down, so much down, especially down females in STEM, when women overall don't really want to go in those areas. But all these scholarships are there and no one's using them. But we're going to hear every day that it's men that are trying to keep women down. They do that with the black community. They do it with anything else. The only place they don't do it for is white people, of course, the men, but also the Asian community, because they don't really need it, because they their IQ is higher than the normal white person, let's say. Group size. I'm not talking about individually, okay? And people need to get past that when we're talking about it. So what separates somebody like me that says I'm going to put that into my study of what's going on in the life in the West? I think if all of us had the same quote unquote IQ, let's say, and we also had a reformation of our immigration, this would be a big issue. I think that the great experiment of the United States would continue on. But we also need to talk about history. And the problem is like I said before, what they want to do on the other side. And unfortunately, a lot of people on the right are just going to let it happen. Because I think, who was it? I think it was Melina Lowe said that Joe Blow doesn't really care. They just want to wake up the next day, have a job. And I think that the president talked about that. He said if everybody had jobs, no one really wouldn't care about this. And in some area he would be right, because that would mean that the masses would be pacified and become part of the matrix, let's say. And all the other shit that was going on, the changing of the demographics, which actually will impact the culture in the country, and the rice wars, what's going to happen when this happens. So now I lost my train of thought. But anyway, the president talked about this and history, and he brought it up, and I thought he was very powerful by saying it. When you start taking away your past, then the conservatives in this country, and that's why I've said that this Cucks of the week is the good conservative. They will not stand up for it now. They just don't care that people are just. There should be not riots, but there should be protests whenever this happens. That people should come out and stop it from happening. They used to do that when trees had been around for 100 years, and people would sit out there and not let you do it. But this is our history. Whether it's good or bad history, we should learn from it. It's like if I went into Auschwitz and I just decided I'm going to burn it down because I don't like Jewish people. I mean, it should be there. And then of course, I think that we should talk about it a little bit more and actually understand what happened there. But that's part of what the left wants to do, and there are too many people on the right that want to be the good conservatives are just going to let it happen, and they're going to wake up 20 or 30 years from now and say, what the fuck did we do? So I guess my reasoning of these features or these episodes is to talk to the few people that actually listens to me, especially the younger people, that you have to preserve the past to make the future better. We just can't forget what happened. We can learn from it. We should be honest with it and understand that just because Jefferson had slaves, you can't necessarily say that his laws that he did or his ideas were tainted by the fact that he had slaves. Pretty much everybody in the Western world kind of had access to slaves, and clearly people in Africa get it. People in other parts of the country or the world had it, but it's, unfortunately, a lot of people think it's only white people that did this, and it's not true. There's a thing on Facebook today. There was a African American whose great grandfather fought in the Civil War on the Confederacy. I mean, it's a rare thing, but it did happen, and there were a lot of black people that fought for this on the side of the South. And he said the same thing. Why am I going to lose my history, the legacy of what my parents did or my family did? We need to stop this, and people on the right especially needs to stop it, and stop it at every, nonviolence or whatever. But we need to stop it. And I think there were several people that said, "Hey, I think the government should come out, or the president come out with a federal bill about saving the monuments. If anybody does this, that it's you can go to jail for like 5 or 10 years or something like that to stop this from happening." We're not ISIS, or we're not somebody else that goes there and takes away our history. But again, there is a current under all of this, and maybe at some point I'll talk about it. That who's really, and I said it on Twitter last night, who's actually running this. And it's the same people that people talk about on the alt-right that are further down in the Jewish question. There are several little videos out there of protest of Jewish people saying, "I will replace you," and then saying the next that your grandkids are going to be brown. It's like, what are they asking for? Do they want this to happen? Do they want a race war? There are a lot of people that believe that. There are a lot of people, especially what happened in Europe. There's a predominant Jewish woman out there saying that the Jewish people will take over basically the outcome of multicultural Europe because Jewish people have to rule that. And to think that if they're just going to do it in Europe, they want to do it here as well. So I can go all the way down the rabbit hole when it comes to Jewish question and blame them. And I said yesterday, we got to stop doing it, but it's there. But we need to wake up as a people to say our history is important, and we can talk about it. And I think overall we've always been able to do that, except with some couple issues. One of them is the Holocaust. But normally we can sit down and talk about it, have debates about it, and move on to the next thing. Of course, what's happening on campuses right now, they're stopping even more of it. They don't want anybody to debate anything. And we're sitting here on the right, on the site, not doing anything. The good conservative is not doing anything. They're sitting there just feeding their face with social media or watching Fox News and thinking that that's, quote-unquote, the resistance for the right people, but it's not. And just believing that people that are, quote-unquote, the alt-right are really the bad guys in this. That we're just all we're trying to do is preserve the history of European heritage or the white culture, whatever you want to call it, because there are several other videos out there. There's a woman out there saying that we're only one race, the human race, and that's so fucking kumbaya. It's just stupid in so many levels. Yeah, okay, that would be great if that was true, if everybody had the same goals in their mind and that there was no differences between the races. But the truth is this: the Western civilization was created by culture, or by white people. The whites, or the Western civilization, the culture was created by white people. The only place that's getting damaged by it, that's allowed to say things that they're bad, or they allow for people to come from other parts of the country to come to their place to damage it, is those from Western civilization. So people on the alt-right, they say, yeah, I want to stop Western culture. We have to defend it. But they won't go to the next level, and they won't say it. And I guess if you talk about stuff like that, then you think that you're a white supremacist. That's what they call me. I've been called this online, that I'm a white supremacist because I want to defend Western civilization, and I realize what that means. That doesn't mean I don't believe that white people. I've seen thousands of them that they're not supreme with anything. Okay? I'm saying that our culture has been the greatest of all time, and I want to defend it. But I also understand that the white people created it. Can we have people from different races to make it better? Of course. There's no question that we can't. But those people that are they're in countries that are native white people, those need to be defended. I just wish that more people wake up, and I know that I'm not going to be around when that happens. By the time I die, the United States will probably, if I live on to be the normal age time, I don't know, I may not. I've had 2 strokes and 2 times of cancer, so maybe not. But if I do, uh, uh, I will be a minority in my own country, and my kids will have to deal with that. And to think that it's just going to be kumbaya for my kids and their kids, it's not going to be that way. We've already seen it happen. We already see what's happening in South Africa. They just go ahead and today there was a thing out there. They're not going to prosecute the people that killed the white farmers. When the white man becomes now, there's a difference in this country. A lot of white people have guns, so I guess if they try to come after them, but once white people become the minority, they're not going to get affirmative action. They're not going to get on welfare more. They're not. That's not going to happen, and there's going to be a huge type of rift between the races again. If it hasn't been settled, if immigration has not been reformed, if we haven't actually tackled this, there's going to be something here. I don't know what it's going to be, civil war or whatever, but it's going to happen, and it's happening pretty much every place this has ever happened. When an invader comes in or somebody from a different culture comes in and they have the motivation to take over, like the Islamists and some of the other people, there's going to be conflict and there's going to be war, and it's happened forever. So, well, I've been talking way too much, but overall, I just want to say thank you for watching my videos. That one I did about Will Polker, I got like 17 dislikes and only 4 likes. But I guess nobody says anything in the comments. I think these are women that are coming in there that are defending him for some reason. I looked at my demographics, and apparently I'm like 26% of people actually who watch my videos are women, which shocked me. But it could be just because of that one video, because it had a lot of views for me. So it's possible they're coming on and white knighting for him. I don't know. But anyway, thank you for watching. And if you have any comments, let me know below, and we can talk about it. And share and like this. And you guys have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.